go get at Manchester United. I think there's a real chance here. And I actually think them winning last night does us a favour because the fans will put the pressure on now. Bournemouth's coming to town. We should beat Bournemouth. Just turn up.
There'll be goals in it. Can we take our chances? Because we will get them. Can we be clinical?
Best thing that could have happened for us on Wednesday night is Man United beating Chelsea 2-1 because I just feel that just lulls them into a false sense of security really with that result, and they'll be fully expectant on Saturday to turn up and do the business against us, no worries whatsoever.
Like I say, we're a form team at the moment, so why not? Let's get another monkey off our back while we're here and get a win at Old Trafford on the weekend.
Sorry, it is Tavernier. Oh, header by Smithy! Yes! It's another one! It's 3-0! Tavernier with the ball in the box and Senesi has scored. We are absolutely tearing them apart.
Things you love to see. This is the Theatre of Dreamland, episode 22 of Cherries in Focus. And on Steve's t-shirt, Andoni Iraola is creating history. And Saturday at Old Trafford will go down as one of the greatest Premier League days for Bournemouth. Do subscribe to Cherries Red Army, your legends. We went past 1.9 thousand subscribers. And if there's a time to hit the like button, it's right here. Right now, we are live on YouTube and Twitter. That interactive chat is open. Do not waste it. If you watch this back on replay, do use the comments. So I've got Jon Spark with me. I've got Steve Hensman, and we've also got Aaron Kaye. Say hellos in the chat. Moment of the match day weekend. I think we know what it is. Jon Spark is here, fresh from his watch along win. That's the second watch along win in a row for the channel. John, how are you doing, my friend? Good evening.
Yeah, doing great, thank you. Yes, it's a real bravo to AFC Bournemouth after that one. I would provide some decent insight to something with a moment of the week, but who cares? We beat Manchester United, and we absolutely smashed them.
Absolutely dominated them. He clocks up the miles. He's done a fair few in the last week. It's Mr. Steve Hensman. He didn't mind the trip back. What a day for you, Steve. How are you?
What a day, what a week. And no, I certainly don't mind doing the miles when we get a 3-0 win at Old Trafford. I don't know, still on cloud nine. I don't know. Everyone, it's that thing when you go into work on a Monday and all these people who never speak about Bournemouth, they're all coming up and go, did you go to the game? And you're like, yeah, we were brilliant. And they go, yeah, I can't believe it. And he's just having all these people just talk to you about Bournemouth. It's great. I mean, yeah, what a weekend as well. Chris Billam-Smith went in as well, so that was good for the town. I mean, well, Bournemouth's the place, isn't it, at the moment?
Absolutely buzzing. He also clocks up the miles home and away. He finishes the lineup this evening. He keeps our WhatsApp group very active. It's Aaron Kaye. How you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. Unfortunately, I did not clock the miles on Saturday. The one away game I'm missing out of about 6 or 7. But obviously, me and the boys watched it, delighted, jumping around like maniacs. And yeah, it was just brilliant. And we were just dusting off our passports because we were going on a European tour. Forget Luton, Sheffield United, Burnley catching us. We're catching West Ham, we're catching Brighton, we're catching all of them. Well, maybe not the top 7 or 8, but we're cooking. And you know what? Like every single game now, we've got nothing to fear. We've already gone to Man City away and Liverpool away. What have we got to fear? Bring it on.
Drink it in right now. It is very busy in the chat. Let's go say hello to Chris Hubble. How are you? Morgan Scott, thank you very much. We've got Paul from Australia. Callum, thanks again for joining us. Sammy Nell, hope you're doing well. Matthew Gale, thank you very much. We've got Alan, Lee Sibley, thank you for all the comments recently on the channel. Mark Cole, Nick Gillings, thank you very much. We've got Omid, Mark Singleton. Hope to see you on Saturday versus Luton. Steve Hensman saying hello in the chat. And we've also got Wing. Want to get this out nice and early. Thank you so much for the support. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers. And a massive thank you to you fans who do support the channel financially. You can support the channel or become a monthly member at buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. You're there through thick and thin, through the hard times, through the good times. And we very much need you. Thank you so much. And it's good times at the moment, absolutely good times at the moment, because AFC Bournemouth climbed the table. Look at that form guide, guys. 4 wins, 1 draw. I think we're the second best team in the mini form guide at the moment. Steve, we're going to get stuck into that win at Old Trafford, but we are creating news. I mean, we need the respect now, surely.
You think so, wouldn't you? But I've been listening to some of the radio over the weekend and sort of other games over the weekend, and it's still not coming. It's still like, what's wrong with Man United? I can't believe it. You know, like I say, we've got 12 points out of the last 15. I mean, it's madness. And just to think, a couple of months ago, we were thinking, have we done the right thing? Is this working? And now look what's happened. I mean, that's what you say. Football is a funny old game, and how things can quickly change in such a short space of time. But I don't know. I think being the size we are and the history we've got, we are sort of notoriously a smaller club. So we're really going to have to sort of carry this form on to get people of a certain ilk talking about us on a bit more than well done Bournemouth basis. It's going to take a bit more than that to get the likes of your Linekers. I love the one I have enjoyed quite is the Stan Collymore one. They said the Iraola would be gone by whenever it was. So that's just been flooding Twitter all over the place. That people going, yeah, that aged well. sort of things. Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, all we can do is keep doing what we're doing, because it's finally working. Andoni's finally found something. Found the guys that suit his style in the positions that work best for them, and it's paying dividends. And long may it continue. Like Aaron said, we've got some of the big teams out of the way now. We can just it's not so we take our foot off the gas, but we look at these fixtures and think they're winnable. They're very winnable. And the way we're playing, if we're going toe to toe with Villas and Newcastles and Man United's, why can't we sort of put some teams to bed? Like we say, we should have had like 6 we could have scored like 6 or 7 in a couple of those games if we were a bit more clinical. Maybe against a sort of lesser team in the league, maybe we can. Maybe we will put someone to bed like 6 or 7. Who knows? I'm dreaming.
Absolutely love it. And your question in the chat on this episode: when was the last time that AFC Bournemouth went on the road, scored more than 3 or more goals and kept a clean sheet in the Premier League? Come back to it in about 10 minutes' time. When was the last time Bournemouth scored 3 or more goals on the road and kept a clean sheet? But the cogs are turning for Andoni Iraola. He kept the theme going of minimal changes, and it didn't take long for the Cherries to take the lead. Dom Solanke, he found that point with the arrow with a little bit of help from Lewis Cook. Philip Billing rose highest off the bench to get the second. And talking of 2, Marcos Senesi scored 2 into 2 headers. He can't stop scoring. Aaron, what a performance. Had to be different to the game at Selhurst Park. Go get at them. There's mistakes in that red team, and we absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah, totally different game to the Palace game. That was a kind of a war of attrition to some degree, and played a different sort of style. And I was pleasantly surprised, if I'm being honest, to see the team line up. I was thinking there might have been more rotation. I wouldn't have held it against Andoni for that, because 3 games in 7 days with the intensity that we play, or 6 days actually. So it would 3 games in 6 days. It would have been really, really difficult. And but you know what? There's a lot to be said for momentum, consistency in team selection, and to a degree, obviously, certainly the back 4 didn't really have much of a choice. And with Cook and Christie, we didn't have much of a choice. He might have potentially freshened up, but the one change obviously Tav coming in, because he didn't play much against Palace. And yeah, we were right from the start. We were pressing so high, and that's what I noticed straight away. And Onana almost, it wasn't a penalty, but I was off my seat thinking Dom was clipped by Onana, but that's kind of set the tone, and we kind of boxed them in, and the first goal came from that boxing them in that far left corner. So they played the ball out, and Lewis Cook anticipated it brilliantly, and again he's just amazing at the moment. We know we're waxing lyrical about Christie, and he was unbelievable again. But the heights that him and Lewis Cook have reached in the last few games is it's astonishing, really, absolutely astonishing. And yeah, Lewis pretty much made that goal for Dom. Great finish. Similar-ish to the couple he missed against Aston Villa, albeit against a far better goalkeeper. But yeah, it was composed, didn't rush it, and set us, and that set the tone. And Andoni always goes on about how important the first goal is. Certainly against a team like Palace, it was very important because they weren't able to sit back. And against Manchester United as well, first, it suits our game because teams have to go at us and we can catch them on the break. But it was from start to finish an outstanding performance. I was a bit concerned, thinking, is this going to be one game too far? What do I know? I mean, it was the most emphatic of all the victories so far, really. And to the extent that I was disappointed when that fourth was disallowed, I was getting a bit greedy towards the end.
Now, John, I loved going back to watch your highlights on the watch along. Omid's talking about someone in the mud up north. That might be Mr. Mark Goldbridge. That's also interesting and doing the rounds. But we did say on the previous episode, John, I know you wasn't here for that them beating Chelsea probably didn't help them because the fans would apply pressure. It's Bournemouth coming to town. And I felt there was a real opportunity here. Got a nice early goal. And they just didn't deal with it at all.
No, but to be fair, I don't think the Chelsea result would have affected them that much. I think it was just that, well, I mean, heck, it was Bruno Fernandes said, it's Bournemouth. We think we could, a lot of the players probably think they can turn up and just turn them over. And I do think that it doesn't happen a lot. And to be fair, I think one of the very few teams that will ever really play Bournemouth and just think they can turn up and do it is Man United, because most other teams have at least some, dignities of the fact that they have to work hard in every game, whereas I think that club is just a bit of a mess right now. But it was they just weren't ready for it from the start. They really weren't prepared for it. And what they're able to do against the likes of Chelsea, what they can do against some of the better teams, is they can sit back and they can play a counter-attacking team. I mean, they can play a counter-attacking game. It's Ten Hag had said he wants Man United to be the best transition side in the world. That only works when you're playing against the better teams. That will only work when you're in European competition. When you're playing against a team like Bournemouth, where United are expected to be the team that are on the ascendancy, United have all the pressure to attack. They are the ones that have to make sure that everything goes well in this game and, be the dominant force in all circumstances. Whereas we were totally happy to let them be that. We wanted them to be that. Heck, our kickoff was a kick to touch. If we kicked it straight out of play, there was no plan to maybe get it to a Bournemouth player. No. We gave them the ball for a goal kick, well and truly knowing that we were just going to do that all game and make sure we pressed them from the start. And it took, as Aaron said, less than 50 seconds for us to almost get a penalty from a pull back pass from Luke Shaw. So, and then it worked for us to get the first goal. It really wasn't a complicated plan. But it was worked to perfection. And you've just got to say that Iraola has really got the players on side now and doing exactly what he wants them to do. While I felt as though there were definitely issues with our hybrid pressing earlier in the season, particularly against Arsenal and just our general malaise against Everton, things have really turned around since then. And this was the summation of all of the progress that we have made so far this season.
Nick Osborne wouldn't swap a single player in our lineup for the one Manchester United have. Steve, Callum also says, so good to see us play the press with confidence, knowing that when they find their free man on the left-hand side, our shape would be too organised for them to penetrate. And the press was straight from the start. We've talked about a guy that's banging form. He's in the heart of our team, in the heart of that midfield, Lewis Cook. He started that press. I'm hoping you're in your seat by the time the first goal went in. Lewis Cook got on it. Great assist. Dom Solanke got his 8th goal of the season. And you're seeing someone in Dom Solanke who's getting lots of chances. He's broke that score that he had last season. He's gone straight through that. I mean, he's got 8 in 15, 16 games now, Steve. And I always said that when Dom Solanke scores goals, we're going to benefit. And great goal. And he could have had more.
Yeah, he should have had more, actually, because he had a couple of more opportunities. Obviously, you've seen the one that hit the post. There's a couple of others that didn't really get shown too much on the highlights, but he gets in really good positions. And, for a bit of hesitancy or a bad decision, we think, oh, my, we could have had more. Like I said, it probably could have been or should have been if we were, I think, because I've said before, I think we've got more to come. And I think the players have got more to come when they start getting this system really, really fine tuned, I think you will start seeing this hit more. But like going back to the press, I mean, yeah, Lewis Cook was absolutely outstanding. I'm sorry, this guy is eclipsed what I ever thought he could be. He's got energy levels that I've never seen from him before. I don't know where this has all come from. Whether this is anything to do with this fitness coach we've got in from America, I don't know. But how he plays 90 minutes, because you always used to look at Lewis Cook and think, oh, he's always going to come off around sort of 70, 80 because he's sort of run his race. But he's turned into like prime Ryan Christie. You know, Ryan Christie's ridiculous. And now Lewis Cook is. I mean, this is kind of what I was saying before. If you see in players like Ryan Christie, and he's always staying, he might not give you the numbers, but he's always staying on for his energy levels. That inspires the others. And I think there's something to say for that, because Iraola just loves those busy players who will buzz around and will do that press. And Kluivert is another one. Kluivert was instigating a lot of the press. So when it was all shifting over and we were all moving into our positions and following the guys, all they really had left was a long ball or a switch ball. And by the time you've switched it or whatever, Tavernier's back over where he should be, or whoever's on the wing. It really was good to watch. They just had no answer for it, and I can only praise Iraola for it, because it's it's what we saw the green shoots of it all developing, and now it's starting to come to fruition and pay dividends. I mean, some of our defending in that game as well. Just sort of notice what Callum said. If they did beat it and get forward a little bit, I mean, we defended our box so well. It was ridiculous. They were going down the line, trying to make little overlaps, and when they're trying to cross balls in or cut balls back, we were making blocks. I mean, everyone's seen the Kirkes double block. That's amazing. Senesi we were throwing our bodies on the line. But they didn't really have an answer to it. We were just all over them. Just didn't give them a moment.
So good at the back, in confidence, Aaron at the back, in confidence at the front. And Dom Solanke, what I found really interesting is he took his goal well, but the second chance where he hit the post, it's really interesting for anyone in the chat. If you want to go back and watch the highlights and show the one where he hit the post, Aaron, he gets the ball, and I can't remember who he got it off, but there was a reverse pass on, and you can see he has a quick look to see if the reverse pass is on, but he decides to take it himself and he goes for the shot. Now, Dom Solanke of 2-3 years ago, he would have passed that 100%. And the second part of Dom Solanke 2-3 years ago is he probably shoots down the goalkeeper's throat. I love it that he's in confidence that he wants it, and he's also trying to find angles. There's conversations about maybe Dom Solanke playing for England. I'll be honest with you, Aaron, with Harry Kane still playing for them, I don't want Gareth Southgate anywhere near Dom Solanke. But you've got to give him praise, and he is doing very, very well for us and in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. It was Lewis Cook again, actually, anticipated a ball again, got in front of his player and played a beautiful ball through. It's funny, when I watched it the first time, actually live, it kind of felt like he didn't get the ball out under his feet properly, and he kind of scuffed it a bit. But when you actually watch it, no, he actually took his time, composed himself, and actually got a pretty good strike away, and was very unlucky to hit the post. I think he was well within his rights there to have a shot, and I think we would have probably felt he should have done if he didn't. So look, he's now adding. It sounds ridiculous for a strike. He's adding goals to his game in the Premier League anyway, because obviously Championship he was prolific, but he's always been critical to the team. We know that. I've been singing his praises to friends who support different teams who could just see his goal record and don't think he's up to it, but how integral he is and how critical he is to the way we play. His hold-up plays got better. His confidence obviously is up. His strength, his running directly for the second goal. It was him running directly at the heart of the defence before passing it to Tav, who crossed it for Billing, and now he's adding goals to his game. He's getting more and more noticed. He's got absolutely everything about him, but he's helped by everyone around him. I think he's helped because he's got players around him now. He's not isolated anymore. He's got players, whoever those three are behind him, whoever they are out of the 4, 5, 6 players we've got who can play there, they're all going to be creating chances, taking defenders away, causing their own problems. And as I said, with Lewis Cook anticipating and Christie doing what he's doing, it's just that's no surprise. Morgan made a very good point in the comments before, saying, at 3-0 up for the fourth goal, which wasn't, unfortunately, it was Christie who was literally still running around like a maniac in the 92nd minute, who forced the error out of their player to play it short to Maguire. There we go. That's we're 3-0 up in injury time. He doesn't need to do that, Christie, but he's still doing that. But no, absolutely outstanding. And Steve mentioned with defence, it goes without saying how good Zab and Senesi have been together, but a massive shout out for me to Smith and Kirkes, because I think, we're not missing Aarons and Kelly at the moment, and they were both outstanding. I think I said it after Palace that Smith's rolling back the years. He was absolutely brilliant again. And Kirkes, we had slight concerns about him earlier in the season, albeit he was performing well. Now, I mean, that performance was flawless against Manchester United, and he's growing in confidence as well. Good to see him last 90 minutes again for 2 games in a row. But yeah, it's all coming together. The defence is rock solid, proper defending, proper midfield, proper forward line, proper team.
Yeah, there's no weaknesses in this team at the moment. I mean, man the match is so hard to choose. I mean, I gave it to Sabani, John, against Crystal Palace, and I feel like it's a really good time to give you this guy. I mean, Stephen Dyer's talking about the centre-backs kicking forward, not passing side to side. And someone who is absolutely thriving at the moment is Marcos Senesi. I think he helped you out the other day in your FPL. 2-in-2 for Marcos Senesi, 4 goals for Bournemouth in his career. Solid at the back, unbelievable on the ball, and now he's scoring goals.
Yeah, it showed how much faith I had that Bournemouth would do well in this game, that when I was looking for a centre-back to transfer in to my FPL before this this week, that I chose Senesi, and he repaid me with 3 bonus points, a clean sheet and a goal, so I was very pleased with that one. But yeah, I think it's funny. People were talking. I think there were rumours was it in the summer or just before, that apparently Man City were having a little look at Senesi, and majority of Bournemouth fans, I think, laughed it off, and I think most football fans would have done as well. But I do think that he's got everything that you would want, in the same way that maybe not quite to the extent that Ake was. I still think possibly the best player to put on a Bournemouth shirt I've ever seen. But Senesi has so many of the passing skills that you want from a modern day centre back, and he is a little bit overly aggressive at times. But I think that in this system, playing against a team like Man United that never really put the ball over the top, which was the one thing that they completely failed to do that might have stumbled us a little bit, because they were playing things short all the time, you see that in the pressing system we had, Senesi was jumping up to Mark McTominay. That's how positive we were in pressing forward, and how happy we are to have Senesi's aggression at really just going at players and being really tough in the tackle. And, Zabani similarly is very impressive one-on-one in the air, and then, has gotten better at dealing with things at set pieces and dealing with balls in behind as well. But yeah, I just think, look at the stats, and the long ball numbers from both of the centre-backs were both pretty impressive in this game just gone. And suddenly he started adding goals to his game. He scored a couple last season, obviously. We remember the one against... the one I remember most is the one against Arsenal, but I know he scored a few. Newcastle as well. But obviously he scored against Crystal Palace. That was one he couldn't miss. Set up by, and this was, I felt that the question was a bit odd from the AFC Bournemouth reporter, by his long-term friend Sinistera, which I find is a really weird way of saying that. But set up by the flick on from Sinistera, and then this one, which is just isn't it great to score goals from corners? How long it's been since we really had, and funnily enough, it's Tavernier in both cases. So we were worried when Alex Scott got injured, because he was putting them in more consistently. But I do think we are a little overly harsh at sometimes at how poor we can be from set pieces, but we've looked so much better this season. And I do think that it's something I maybe want to have a look at some point, is just, we don't overcomplicate things at set pieces. We maybe have one guy that blocks a runner or blocks a player. You'll look back at the one against Man United, and is it Sinistera? It might be Sinistera. Whoever it was, he just you can see he's got no interest in the ball. He just walks in front of one of the Man United defenders, and just stands in front of him, make sure he can't move, and it just helps create that little bit of space for Senesi, and he's got a completely through header, lovely header, and yeah, just the defense is combining really well at the moment. And a note as well for Aaron talking about Kirkes. I think because we knew the Man United wingers weren't going to track back, we didn't worry about asking Kirkes and Smith to get forward. They were able to save their energy a bit on attacks, and Kirkes is very used to going up and down the pitch for 90 minutes. He was able to last a bit better because he could just focus on making sure Anthony was put away, and Anthony did nothing. that game. So it was
Shock.
great to see how effective. Yeah, true.
He was
Admittedly,
getting
not
so
asking much.
upset.
Yeah,
He
wasn't
was
he just?
getting
But
very wound up.
Kirkes was great, and as Steve said, embodying his inner Steve Cook with that double block was great to see.
Nick does say that Kirkes double block was Steve Cook-esque. And Aaron, I do. Go on, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, channeling his inner Steve Cook's not necessarily a good thing. I don't want to see him flying through the air, just trying to save shots like he did against Norwich.
True.
Fair
Very,
enough.
very true. But he did love the 2 blocks that he made in the second half. And Aaron, last week I was talking about it maybe being between Sinistera and Covert because it's fine to rest Tavernier, but I need Tavernier in this side most weeks in the Premier League. Tavernier, 2 assists. He's our top assist maker. I said a few weeks ago that once he gets the ball rolling for him, it took a while to get going last season, but once he starts scoring, once he starts getting assists, Tavernier is so versatile, has variation in his game. He's my favourite player on the wide, in the wings for us, and he was fantastic at Old Trafford, and he got his assists.
He just works so hard. He's dependable. He can defend as well. I think that's what's been key actually recently with Semenyo and Tavernier. They both put the yards in and get back, and even near our own corner flag sometimes. But yeah, it's great to see him getting the numbers. I think he'd probably want to see more goals himself. He's actually missed quite a few chances, good chances by his own high standards. I think I remember one against Villa, a couple of others. I think just kind of fell nice on his left foot, and he's put them wide or hasn't got the shots away. So I think he'll want to score more goals himself. I think if he's being critical. But luckily enough, we don't unlike last year when we were relying on his moments of magic and goals to get us over the line in some games or pull things out of nothing. Then we're not having to rely on him so much. So it's not such a big deal, and he's putting the assists in, as you say. So yeah, I mean, I was happy to see him back in the team. In all honesty, I'm loving any of them. So I was even Dango. I was quite happy when he came on because we forget he can be a real threat to any team with his direct pace and strength, and obviously scored a goal, which was unluckily ruled out. So yeah, I think we all probably think at the moment Semenyo and Tavernier have got those shirts, but we know there's people waiting in the wings to step in, and we might need them. But yeah, it's great to see him contributing with numbers.
You just saw that form guide. That's a current form guide from the last 5 games.
Where did you get that from?
I was going to say, we've got the best goal difference.
We've got the best goal difference. We're second.
I don't know what.
Finish the season now. We're in the Champions League.
Big club bias.
I mean, I'm pulling them all out
Steve,
right
absolutely.
now. I mean, and I tell you what, Andoni Iraola, I tweeted this, has picked up 16 points from the last 7 consecutive games, and that's the best winning batch of games for any AFC Bournemouth manager, even better than Eddie Howe ever did, and it's fantastic. And Steve, I want to pose this to you because we spoke about this last week. We spoke about a really great player in our team called Philip Billing. We expected him to be on the bench, and I asked you about his mentality. Does he have the desire to come on the pitch? Does he have that fire in his belly if he's going to be left out? Well, I tell you what, he showed that he did have that fire in his belly. Fantastic goal that he scored. He is a big time player for us. It was great to see Philip Billing do what Philip Billing does best.
Yeah, I mean, who'd have thought it? Phil Billing scores a bullet header at the back post.
It was off his shoulder. It was off his shoulder.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Just give it to him, John. Come on.
He went in bravely anyway, which he wouldn't have done last season.
Yeah.
So there you go.
True.
Do you remember the only other header he scored?
Oh,
Put that in the chat. Someone can think about that. I was there.
I'm thinking about it now. Philip Billing talked about his second goal.
Yeah. So I mean, he came on, and we have sort of and people have questioned his off-field antics and whether his mind's necessarily right on the project as the rest of the team. But I think the last couple of substitute appearances after he had his little break, he's really sort of shown that he is up for it and he is into it, and he's going along with the rest of the team, and he wants to fight for his spot because he's making it really, really difficult to not say he shouldn't start, because he's had 2 goal contributions in the last 2 games coming off the bench. So, I mean, I've got a hard back to the Palace game, and that ball he put in for Kiefer Moore's goal is something else. It's ridiculous. The way he digs it out, and it's only the sort of thing. This is what I say. But Bill's more creative like that, and will drift into those spaces and drift off his marker, and that's why I think he gets that goal on Saturday, because he manages to. You see the space he's in. The fullbacks left him, and he's just drifted in behind him. Luke Shaw's playing him on, and in the end of it, it's quite an easy one because he's running onto the ball where Luke Shaw's trying to get off a standing start jump. So yeah, hats off to Phil. He certainly certainly didn't sort of let anyone down. He was bang up for it as much as the rest of them, and he's giving Andoni a headache, as I said. Because he will give you goal. We've all said this, when he's in that position, he contributes.
They've got it in the chat, Steve. I can remember it now. It was cold and windy. I can remember.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, you were there.
No, it wasn't that one. It was that one.
It was
against
that one.
Barnsley. Yeah, that was a cold, windy day. 1-0. What a terrible game that was. Big 3 points though. They got that one in the chat. So let's see if you guys can get the other one that I mentioned earlier. So when was the last time that Bournemouth scored 3 or more goals in the Premier League on the road and kept a clean sheet? They got it in the chat earlier. If you're looking at the chat, they've got it. Anyone? Steve? John? Aaron?
My first instinct was the 5-0 away to Brighton.
Yeah.
The only other one I can think of was Swansea.
Chelsea away 3-0 as well.
That was ages ago. That was 16.
Chelsea away.
15,
Was it
16.
For some reason, I thought I was at that Brighton game.
Oh,
I thought it was 5-1.
We got 3-0 at Chelsea, didn't we?
Yeah.
3-0
at Chelsea. Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah,
before the Brighton.
That's the game that I would say that if you were gonna argue that this win wasn't our greatest, that would be the only one that I could put above, because Chelsea were champions at that point when we beat them 3-0 at Stamford Bridge in that game. So that's the only one that you could argue maybe was bigger, but I think this one feels like the bigger result personally.
Do you also know
as well? I've just realised that I've been at every time we've been beaten Man United. I was there.
How many people can say that?
How many times you were against where we didn't win?
Yeah. Don't
How
worry
many
about
games
that.
do you actually miss? To be fair, not many. Interestingly, about that Brighton game as well, guys. 5 different goal scorers.
Yeah,
and the assists were also the goal scorers. It's a weird shake-up of that fixture. Very, very interesting. But what a result, John. What a performance. It was nearly 4. Quick shout out for Dangu Utara. Feel sorry for him. He might have needed that. He had a big smile on his face, pulled back, VAR cancelled it out. I mean, 4-0 would have been absolutely ridiculous. But Dango, just because it was deserved. Unfortunate that it come off his arm unintentionally.
Yeah, it was unfortunate one for him. It's just one of those. Because the thing is that you feel he would have scored it if it hadn't come off his arm anyway. Because there's only one guy left behind. He just puts it on his favoured left foot and tucks it away. Because in the end, he only just put it under Amrabat to score it in the first place. It's a shame for him. Would have been nice for him to get the goal. I do think he needs something to pick him up a little bit. He had those times. He had those few games where he was starting. One of those was in the defeat against Arsenal. I think he started against Everton as well, if I remember correctly. And those are 2 of our poorest performances of the season. So yeah, I think he's going to be along with quite a few others that is just like waiting for a chance to start some games, because this team is so settled now. It was mentioned before that. To give some praise to Cliver, I do think that it's interesting that it's funny when you see Billing come on and play in those positions. You would think they'd play it quite similarly in terms of playing in the number 10 role, but Billing tends to run in behind a little bit more as well. He likes to stick to very specific channels, I think, whereas Cliver plays it much more free. I think he finds pockets of space behind Solanke a lot more, which does help Solanke push the back line and allows us to build up quickly between and find that link between Cooks, Christie and the front line. So as much as obviously he hasn't pulled up too many trees in terms of goals or assists, I've been quietly impressed with Clivert's contributions from the number 10 role. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sinistera come in, start there, or Billing start there at some point in the not too distant future, particularly with all the game fixture coming, with the fixture congestion. But you can't argue with where we are at the moment. Top of the 5-game form chart, as Kirk screenshot incorrectly had it. I don't know why. Scored in every one of those games. No team has got more clean sheets in those 5 times than us. It's level with Everton on 3. So it's just so positive at the moment. And the only team that can stop us is high flying Villa, and they beat City and Arsenal. So see how well we're doing.
I don't know. I just pick them up. I mean, I don't look really into the finer detail, John, but I've got it off a stat website that generally doesn't let me down, but it's let me down. It's found me out.
Yeah,
Maybe I need to take a little bit more detail. Callum, we might come back to this in a few weeks where he is just talking about Andoni on a short deal, really, 2 years. So we continue in this vein, and other clubs might be looking at Andoni Iraola.
For all our players as well.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Fantastic result at Old Trafford. Great run of form. What that means for us now, guys, is we go into 3 fixtures between now and Boxing Day, starting at home this Saturday, 3 o'clock, December the 16th against Luton, Nottingham Forest away on the 23rd, and then Boxing Day at home against scoring confident Fulham, scoring lots of goals at the moment, so that could be an absolute cracker. But it is Luton that are our next opponent, Steve, and at the start of the season, you were sort of talking about Luton as being a team that could do very well, very similar sort of history to us, and they were probably going to play with their heart because they're not going to be able to buy the type of players yet that they probably want to play to give them a more of a comfortable season. But how have you found Luton so far? I'll bring some stats up for them. I mean, the last couple of games, they've taken the lead and been pegged back against 2 very good sides in Manchester City and Arsenal. But what we don't want to do is get carried away and take this game for granted, right?
No, absolutely not. They have taken Arsenal to the wire, and I know Man City battered them and it sort of flatters them a little bit, the scoreline. They still, they competed and they held in there and they defended really well. So they're going to be a tough little cookie to crack. And it's not going to be one we should just expect to win. We don't want to be the kind of have the same mindset as like a Man United did with us and go into it just thinking we turn up and we win, because I think their position is a little bit. I feel a bit sorry for them, that they haven't picked up more points. Even against Liverpool, they were pretty good. Every time I've watched them, I've been quietly impressed. They seem well organised. I say they got a lot of fight and spirit in their team. I think they've been quite clever with a couple of signings. They bought Ross Barkley, seems rejuvenated at Luton. I mean, he was taking the Michael out of some of the Man City midfield on the weekend by doing little tricks and flicks and turns and spins. And he was rolling back the years. And then they've brought Andros Townsend in as well. So, you've got some decent experience in there, Premier League experience and quality as well. I think their goalkeeper's pretty good. He looks like a decent keeper, actually. I think he's really, he's saved them a few points. They got some real pace. I can't remember the guy on the left-hand side, but he is absolutely rapid. Ogbene, yeah.
He wasn't in the squad against Man City. I don't know if he's injured.
I think he's
or not.
injured.
That was another thing. I sort of saw some of the subs and the players that weren't even playing, and you thought, geez, they've left a couple of their decent players out here as well, and they're still, obviously they've got Marvus McCamber in midfield, who's had Premier League experience as well. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be a tough, nut to crack. But I think in the vein of form I think that's what probably will get us over the line in this one. The fact that we've got the momentum and the belief and the just the teams that what's it called? Just the momentum with it in our performances of late. And I think you just play the same way, and I think we've got enough to beat them quite comfortably.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game, Aaron, on Saturday. Someone that I highly rated when we were in the Championship is Adebayo. I know he likes to miss sitters at Dean Court. He scored a header at the weekend against Manchester City. But what you can't do, and we know this ourselves, is you can't switch off. And if you switch off for 5 minutes or you make the wrong decisions, very good sides capitalise and punish you. And that's what Grealish did. And that's what Bernardo Silva did. 2 good goals. And they went, well, they didn't go home empty-handed because they were at home, but they had a great opportunity to take points again, just like they did against Arsenal.
Yeah, look, they are
Tried to.
competing. Yeah, they're competing, but it's going to have to hurt. But they're losing these games and winning positions, and they're getting so close psychologically. I think they are. I hope I'm not tempting fate here. I think they are a very different kettle of fish at home. If we were playing them away on Saturday, I would be a bit more fearful. They're making Kenilworth Road a really hard place to play. But it's a kind of ground we're quite used to anyway, because there's Dean Court. But I think at home, I think Steve's right. I think at home we can't. They have got decent players quite clearly, but having played Villa, having played Manchester United, Newcastle, even going away to Palace with some of their players like Elise and people like that, we shouldn't really be looking through their squad fearing players. If we play like we have been, we should hopefully get the result. The Canber's actually suspended, which is pretty good. But yeah, I think it'll be a tough game. I think the one area we've got to really be careful at, and they showed it against Arsenal, is set pieces and free kicks, corners, because they are very well drilled. They cause Arsenal, as I said, no end of problems. I think 2 of their goals came from set pieces. Obviously, the goal against Man City came from a good cross into the box. So that's, I think, where they can really hurt us on Saturday if we give a lot of corners away or free kicks in and around the box. That, for me, is going to be where we're most at threat rather than from open play. So it's got to be a bit disciplined there. But look, hopefully it's not a case of after the Lord Mayor's show. We have been on a fantastic run. But if we can play like we have been, we should be totally fine. I don't think they're going to come back necessarily. They're not the sort of team to come back and really sit back too much for a point. I think Edwards has got them, trying to be quite front foot. So, yeah, that could play into our hands. But it's not going to be easy by any stretch, but I do expect us to pick up the points.
I mean, John, we should be very confident going into this game. I think the atmosphere is returning at Dean Court. Everyone's buzzing. Everyone's behind the process. It seems to be that way right now. Andoni has got it clicking. What I don't want to see us do, John, is give Luton a glimmer of hope. Now, whether that's them getting in 0-0 at half-time or 1-1, or I don't want them to believe they're in this fixture. I think if we can kill the game at half-time, that would be nice. But I think we got a real chance, one game at a time, because we've just got these 3 massive results from Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and at Old Trafford. But 3 games coming, starting with Luton. I mean, we could be, before we know it, 10th.
Yeah, definitely. It was obviously before Fulham pumped West Ham 5-0, we were level on points with the team that were in 10th, which was Chelsea at the time. Now they're in 11th, and Fulham have taken 10th place. But yeah, we're 2 points off 10th. We're closer to being in Europe than we are to the relegation zone. So, yeah, we definitely should be looking upwards rather than downwards. But what I would say is that it's one of those things where like, you look at someone's record is poor and you just say, it would just be typical if we were the ones that lost to this team, which is something that us as Bournemouth fans are very used to talking about our own team as. But to be fair, it happened a lot. We were one of the few teams to lose to Potter's Chelsea. But a lot of the things where you sort of felt like we would do well and then do really badly for no reason against a team that we should do better against, that was under the last few managers. And admittedly, it was to an extent under Eddie Howe as well, to a lesser extent, but it happened. Whereas in this moment, I do feel like Iraola is less likely to let up on situations like that. He just feels like he's so on top of things generally. And the kickback to that is that I think Crystal Palace was not a great performance from us by any means, but it's lucky that Crystal Palace were also terrible and we were able to create 2 chances and score them both. In this game, Luton will sit back more. We can't play the high pressing style counter-attacking system that we've been playing successfully against Villa, against Newcastle, against Man United. Luton are coming to us and they're going to sit back and we're going to be the ones that are going to have to play through them. So this is going to be a very different test to even Burnley and Sheffield United. This will be a different test to those, which obviously we just about came through Burnley and we certainly dominated Sheffield United. But this will be a game where it will test how good are we going to be at breaking down a very low block. We're not going to face too many of them this season, but this is certainly one of them. So it's a different test. but I'm feeling confident. And I think with players like Tavernier in the form that he's in creatively, Solanke with Christian Cook coming from deeper to assist, and heck, we might even score another set piece. So it's there's still a lot of reason to be positive, but we certainly as fans need to stick with the team if they're struggling to break down what is a very, very organised defence and a team that will be coming to spoil a party in Luton.
Steve, Wings talking about Colton Morris potentially being a threat for Luton. We mark him out, and I'm sure we got more than enough to get a clean sheet with our central defensive pairing. I think we're solid at the moment at the back. Neto is enjoying life again, and when Neto's enjoying life, we do very, very well. 2 clean sheets. I mean, Colton Morris, he's a bit of a handful. He's come up through the leagues. It's going to be, a tough start for them in their first season in the Premier League. But I think we've got more than enough to deal with Adebayo and Colton Morris, but we just got to do our jobs well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They don't play them both at the same time. They only play one up, don't they, John? From what I can remember.
They were doing that both in the Championship. They haven't really done that in the Prem so far.
No.
But I didn't see much of their Man City game. I know Adebayo started that one. I don't know whether Morris did.
I don't think he started. I don't think Morris started the Arsenal game either, because I can remember him coming on because I thought he's going to get the winner here, and I put a bit of bet on him. I put him on score the winner and get yellow carded for taking the shirt off. But, so he's probably due a start. So I mean, but I don't see. I don't see that we can't handle him. Zabani's been absolutely faultless at the moment, and Senesi equally. So I don't really see. I think what's interesting is you say, like John says, that they're going to sit back and let us have the ball. Well, what if we get kickoff again, John, and we just boot it out and let them have the ball? Do you imagine that all game?
But they'll kick it long. They'll kick it long, and then we'll kick it long back to them, and it'll be a most boring game of football you've ever seen.
Game. But yeah, no, I can't see us. I'm more concerned about their pace down the wings than I am sort of their strikers, central strikers. I think that's where we might cause a bit of problem. If that Ogbene is up against Adam Smith, or as good as Adam Smith's been of late, he's certainly not got the pace of Ogbene. So that could be a concern. But equally, like the lads have said, I think, we're the team in the ascendancy at the moment. We've got all the the ascendancy, the momentum, the confidence in our play. Everyone seems to know what they're doing, and it's working an absolute treat at the moment. So I'm not concerned, but it's not one that I would take lightly. I think Andoni will be exactly the same. Be professional. He'll say to us, you've got to treat them with respect, and just go out and play our game. And I think our quality and style of play will shine through.
Yeah, Omid says that Morris was on the bench last game. John, Forest Fan TV want to know if they can swap managers. I mean, absolutely no chance. But I think Cooper's doing a great job for them, John.
Not anymore. He's not anymore. And I wouldn't want you I wouldn't want you saying that in front of Wolverine, because he'll have your head.
And that's a no then to Forest Fan TV. Aaron, we're coming up to that moment in the stream where we're going to get some early score predictions, because it's only Monday. But decisions for Andoni Iraola to make going into this game, I would say not change a lot. But Sinistera keeps asking questions.
Yeah, he does. But for me, and Billing does for that matter as well. But I think, we've had a week. Well, they've got a couple of days off, according to Andoni, and then they've got a full week of training. I don't see any changes. I would keep it. I personally would keep it the same. I just don't see any reason to change things. As I said, there's no midweek game. There are, there's another week to the Forest game, and it's that Forest Spurs where there's been a couple of games and Fulham, where there's a couple of games in a short period of time. But the next 2 weeks are full weeks of training. So look, not that I wouldn't want to see some of those other players in, but I just think there's no need to change it, and I'd go with the same lineup.
Yeah, might be a quick answer, Steve, but same again and less forced.
Sorry, what was So I was interacting with the chat. I didn't hear the question.
Same again, lineup unless forced changes through illness or injuries on the training ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why, like I said last few weeks, you don't, like Matt brought it up originally, but we don't change a winning team, do you? Like I say, they've got the confidence and the momentum. Unless it's forced, unless he's going to rotate somebody, like we said, the thing with the Tavernier he took out the other week against, was it Palace? He took him out. Maybe just rotate one of those because they're putting in some shifts at the moment. I think the rest of them have to play. I'd love to give Christie a break just because I just think, how on earth can someone keep going like that? And Cook for that matter. But I just don't see that we've got a choice. So yeah, I don't see that anybody changes really. Like I say, maybe one of the front three or front four.
Yeah. Forest Fan TV, John. I mean, there's a lot of banter going in there. I mean, we're playing Luton first. I mean, they're quaking in their boots already. John, Park Many Cleverly Bark says, will it potentially be Ilya James Sabani Hill playing alongside Senesi on Saturday?
Yeah, because his performance was incredible. He played with the strength of two men.
He's got long legs, isn't he, to get from Blackburn to Old Trafford?
Yeah,
Did Blackburn even know?
No, I don't think they've realised it. Yeah, that's my most liked tweet of the year. Just
So
telling, asking Match of the Day what the heck is going on with, they got the name wrong in our starting lineup against Man United. But
they also got
yeah,
one. Didn't Man United get one of our? They put a picture of Mepham up in the programme, didn't they?
Oh, that was it as well.
Yeah.
Instead of
and it was Zabani.
instead of Ilya Zabani,
Yeah.
they put a picture of Mepham when they wrote down Ilya Zabani.
I think Chris Temple put that out on Twitter. That one
on Twitter. Yeah, there was, and also there was a match report on. I think it was Sky Sports, although I think that one goes on a few different newspaper websites, that the player that almost scored our fourth goal was Luis Sinisterra.
Yeah.
So it's just bloody typical, to be honest. They get that wrong all the flipping time. They really do. But keep ignoring us at your peril. They'll start paying attention when we keep climbing the table. But for changes, yeah, I think I was actually, just as Steve was mentioning Ryan Christie with regards to him playing, I think I was just wondering when he was last injured, and apparently he was injured for 3 days in 2021, but that was before the season had even kicked off because it was in August. So yeah, and that was Celtic. He literally hasn't been injured for Bournemouth since he arrived. So
made of elastic bands.
Yeah, he must hibernate during pre-season or before pre-season. He must go into hibernation for a bit.
I love the way Aaron's just crossing his fingers now. He's like, "Don't say that, lads."
Yeah, but yeah, I certainly can't see the midfield being changed. I don't see the back line being changed or the goalkeeper. The only possible change would be that anyone in the front four, but I just think that while Semenyo hasn't got the goals or assists, he still just terrorizes teams. And when you've got someone with the kind of physicality that you've got in Semenyo going up against fullbacks that tend to be a little bit more slight, the players just bounce off him. He's just so strong. So, and it's encouraging to see how good the dribbling numbers are for our players. It was something that I was really frustrated at last season. Tavernier was a very strong dribbler last season, but he was the only player in the entire squad that did any dribbling. Philip Billing comes on in the last game against Man United and gets three successful dribbles in the time that he's in there, which was the most of a Bournemouth player. And I thought Solanke, Christie, Cook, Tavernier all had 2, I think. So I maybe Sinisterra coming in for one of them could be a change, but to be honest, I'm not thinking there'll be really be much good, because we've got a full week of training, we've got time to rest. I'm sure the lads would have had Sunday off. Yeah, exactly. So, 2 days off. Absolutely. Yeah. You tell him, Aaron, if they were in on Monday, I need you down at the ground telling Iraola that he's an awful manager.
And Wing, can I just say, that's another thing I'd like to sort of praise Iraola for, because like John said there, with the successful dribbles, he's quite clearly telling the players to be a bit braver on the ball and take players on and move past players if you can't automatically see a pass or someone in space. Because we're seeing that I'm seeing some dribbling from Christie, Cook, like John's just mentioned, even Adam Smith against Crystal Palace, where he's busting a gut down the opposite flank, taking on their fullback. It's obviously something that they've been told to do, be a lot braver. So Iraola's got to get some more praise for that. I mean, I didn't even know some of these players had some of these dribbling skills in their lockers. So hats off to him.
Great stuff. Wing, just to finish off this media at the moment, and they called us Brighton twice in the commentary, quality media work. And I'll take that, Wing, into this introduction for the score predictions on Saturday. So it's high flying. It's Roberto Iraola's Bournemouth going up against Luton Town. What is the score predictions at Dean Court? Nice and early. It's Monday. The game's on Saturday. What is your score prediction? Here is your 60-second warning. And as you put your score predictions in the chat, we'll take a look at the Premier League weekend, match day 17. Nottingham Forest on Friday night against Tottenham Hotspur, Bournemouth taking on Luton, Chelsea against Sheffield United, Manchester City against Crystal Palace, Newcastle against Fulham, Burnley, Everton, West Ham, Wolves, Brentford against Aston Villa, Arsenal, Brighton, and Liverpool against Manchester United. No Monday night football, so there'll definitely not be a call, Steve, for Andoni Iraola if we do beat Luton anyway.
No, what would you need? We've had Gary O'Neill on, so we know we've learned all we need to learn about football, so that's fine. I thought you were going to ask me about what games I was up for watching.
Go for it. What games are you going to be keeping an eye on?
Put the graphic up.
Put the graphic up. I think it's teams in and around us potentially, and if Forest and Fulham lose, those are the games coming up.
Tell you what, Arsenal Brighton will be a tasty affair. I think that'll be a good one to watch for the neutral, and obviously Man United Liverpool. Unlucky Man United, but I think that's another loss there. But obviously big games. I think it'd be interesting to see how Villa go from now on, because the people are starting to talk about them as I mean, I've even heard people talk about them for the title, but I think people sort of saying whether they'll be top four or not. Like they've got a tricky away game there at Brentford, so that might be interesting. See how they fare.
Interesting. Right, let's jump into those score predictions. I'm going to go first on this round in episode 22. I'm going to pick out Callum, who is the first scoreline. He's going for the famous Cherries Red Army 3-1. And I don't think we keep a clean sheet this weekend, guys, but I do think we win quite comfortably. And I think it will be 3-1 to the Cherries. It took a while to get going, guys, but we got the 3-1. And I think there's another one coming. Omid's going for 1-1. Mark Cole's also going for 3-1. And Mark Singleton is going for 2-1. We'll stop right there. Erin, you're coming down to Dean Court. What's your score prediction?
Another clean sheet for me. I think it's going to be 2-0. I don't think we're going to blow them away. I think it will be an efficient performance. I think we'll probably miss a couple of chances, but we'll score relatively early and then we'll put the game to bed later on. So I'm going to go with a relatively comfortable 2-0 win.
Steve, 2-0 from Aaron, 3-1 from me. Very, very confident. Some good confident score lines in the chat. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, I have to be confident on this one as well. This, unfortunately, is my last game of the year. So, because I'm going away over Christmas. So, this better be a good one. So, I'm going to go big on this. I'm going to go 4-0.
4-0. Mark and Bev.
And I'll tell you the other thing. The old pizza place, they're going out of business sooner or later.
They so are. Mark and Bev are going for 3-0. So is Wing. I did jump Forest fan TV because I think they just need to focus on their own game on Friday. They're panicking, John. They're so panicking. We got Paul going for 3-0. Cameron Meach 2-0. David's going for 2-1, hopefully to the Cherries. AFCB fan TV is going for 2-1. Liam 2-1. 2-0 from Alan. 2-0 to Tottenham. 3-1 to Bournemouth. 3-2 to the Cherries. 3-1. Cherries Red Army. The famous scoreline, John. See us out then on episode 22 with your score prediction.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll actually be quite close. I think we may struggle at times to break through them because we haven't really seen it happen consistently yet. But if Aaron's right and we get an early goal, then it could start pushing towards the bigger scoreline. Because if we do score early, it'll encourage them to come out, and I reckon it will counter plenty of times and create a number of chances. But yeah. It should be an entertaining game. I think it'll be a good one to watch. And yeah, I'm expecting 3 points.
Brilliant. Right. If you're not a subscriber of Cherries Red Army, this is the moment to do it. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers. Do smash the like button. Smash it right now. It helped this video grow between now and kickoff. Thank you if you've watched this video back on replay. Do get your comments below about the team lineups and your score prediction. Aaron, that's another episode down. 23 will be back next Monday after the Luton game. But it's fun times right now and historic moments. We love it.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Bournemouth fan. The sky's the limit for me, not just this season, but going forward. We've got some exciting times ahead. So we've got to enjoy it while we can. I think someone mentioned earlier, get Andoni on a longer term contract, please, before that becomes an issue. But yeah, good times. Yeah, I just can't wait for the next game. Every game at the moment, I'm just confident and just looking forward to it. And yeah, bring it on, and hope to see you all of you soon in either home or away.
Thank you, Steve. Are you still on cloud 9? I mean, if you come down a bit, hopefully you'll go straight back up at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, well, just talking about Iraola's contract, Aaron. All we got to remember is just as long as we work into the finer details of that contract, lifetime supply of Estrella and a lifetime supply of Paella, it'd be fine. Be fine, absolutely fine.
Cheers, Steve. And John,
Cheers,
thank you very much. Great reactions on the watch along. Absolutely loved it. Loved this stream as well. Very interactive. It's a good time to be a Bournemouth fan right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And do stick with us. We'll keep these reviews going. Obviously, a lot of fixtures coming up. But thank you very much to everyone that joined you on the watch along against Manchester United. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to do one this week coming, but we'll let you know if there is. But regardless, thanks. And go on, tell your friends about us, because we'd love to get to 2K before the end of the year. I don't know whether it'll happen, but it's down to you lot to put our name out there for us to get to 2K by the end of the year.
Yeah, we set a challenge to get to 2K by the end of the season, but we've had over 30 subscribers in a couple of weeks. So I think it is doable. Just tell everyone about Cherries Red Army, because that would be the best Christmas present and New Year's present. And we can go into January, maybe an FA Cup run, maybe chase down Europe. Who knows? But this is episode 22. Thank you to John. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to everyone who's watched this. Thank you to the fans that have joined us interactive. Enjoy the rest of your week. Get behind the team on Saturday. We're banging form. Andoni is breaking records. Dreamland.
He drinks Estrella, he eats Paella, he
hates the
Summers.
See you on the next one. Up the cherries.
Up the cherries. Bra-